Hello and welcome to the Think Dad podcast, a podcast all about engaging with young dads. My name's Robert Orton.
And my name is Jordan Richardson, and we both work for North East Young Dads and Lads, working with other young dads and their families.
In this series of podcasts, we'll be interviewing a variety of professionals, asking questions about fatherhood engagement and best practice around working with young dads and their families. Let's get into this episode.
Chris, I'd just like to introduce yourself, please. So your name and what you do.
Oh, hi there. My name's Chris Humba. I am on the board for North East Young Lads and Dads. I'm the diversity lead for there. I'm also currently working with the Ministry of Justice as a strategic housing specialist. So working on making sure that prisons have got the right processes in place to make sure that prisoners are not being released from prisons homeless. In the past, I've also had housing experience with Your Homes Newcastle, helping to shape and run their EDI plan. And also I worked with Crisis, where I was a progression coach. I was also working with different groups, just basically working in the housing, advocating for them and making sure that they were getting their needs met. So yeah. And obviously I've got a background in youth work, community work, outreach work, every kind of thing you can probably think of. Yes, I'm a jack of all trades, as you'll say.
That's great. Thank you, Chris. Nice to meet you.
And I'm a dad. That's another one. Yeah.
We'll just hop straight into the questions. The first one is, why do you think it is important to support young dads?
Because at the moment they seem to be a group that are largely ignored by different services and professions, but fathers do play a big role in helping, being part of a family and being able to help raise their children and be involved in the conversation. And they should also be able to have the skills, knowledge and ability to be able to advocate on behalf of their child and also be able to play an active and positive role.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Thank you. The second question is, what does or could good support look like in the support of young dads? Example for your own work.
Making sure that dads have a voice, making sure that dads are visible, making sure that dads have the confidence to be able to advocate for what they need and push for their rights, and making sure that they've got access and they're involved in the conversations and making decisions. One way in my current job at the moment, obviously my volunteering role is obviously to make sure that you guys obviously making sure that you guys have enough of a skill set and the voice and the confidence to be able to do what you need to do in regards to your own individual circumstances. And in my professional life at the moment, it will be to make sure that dads have a safe space where they can have contact with their children, and a safe space where they can develop relationships and reintegrate back into the community and make up for lost time and also make new memories in a safe space with their children.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. The third question is, in your work, what challenges do you face in engaging, supporting or including young dads?
Finding them, number one. That's one thing, because not many people actually it doesn't seem like there's much of a tracking on who are young dads. Usually it's family work, but it doesn't really, but usually just with young offenders, it's usually based around mom and dad and siblings, but there isn't really much of a question about children. And obviously with Durham, where I'm also at the moment, there isn't really much data held very much on who are the young dads. There isn't a specific cohort for young dads. There's specific cohorts for your care leavers, veterans, people with disabilities, but there aren't ones where they're actively asking the questions about children and actually making sure that there's programs in place to support them once they leave prison.
Yeah. So you're saying like something like Needle is definitely needed within this kind of setting, helping young dads get back into the community?
Of course, because there is a short pathway at the moment, but they've got knee packs are within the prisons at the moment. They've got the contract. However, they only support people up until they leave the gates, and there isn't any other support once they leave the gate. And for care leavers, it's the same situation. There is some support within the prison, and then 6 weeks post-release, and then that gets cut off. Whereas what they need is a wraparound service that can support them, ideally from prison into the community, and provide that sustained support. So once they get found, once we put them into a property, that support should still be there to enable them to maintain it and grow and develop and sustain their tenancy, to make it a meaningful accommodation. So it's not just a home, it's a house. It's a place where you can begin and belong and, you know, have memories.
Yeah, I totally get that. Like, it just, even though I haven't been in prison myself, it just, for someone to come out and not get any support, it doesn't matter how long you've been locked away, you come out and it's kind of like a new world. There's always stuff changing. You need someone there to just keep you updated, keep you going, keep you supported. But thank you. And the fourth and last question is, what are your 3 top tips for other organizations who want to support better young dads?
Make space for them. Let them know that you actually want to make sure that they're aware that you're there and that you actually want to make space for them, that you want to hear their voices. 2, I would say, make sure you're being reliable and that you're being consistent and that you're showing that you actually care. And 3, just stick with it, really, and don't give up. Just stick with it. The process will work. They will buy into it, but you just need to make sure that you're able to look at all the angles and make sure that you're working collaboratively with the young men, and then obviously making sure that they've been a part of the project. And then that way, then once you get their buy-in, you're more likely to get the more richer work and longer sustaining work done with them.
Thank you. That's great. I will now stop the recording. You have been listening to the Think Dad podcast with Jordan Richardson
and Robert Orton. This podcast has been produced by NHS Cumbria Northumberland Tyne and Wear, the North East Young Dads and Lads, and the University of Lincoln. If you'd like to find out more about our work, please visit the North East Young Dads and Lads website at www.neydl.uk or our bespoke e-learning platform at www.digidad.uk. That's www.digidad.uk.
Until next time, thank you for listening.